Okay, this is our next episode of True Wrestling Fans Discussions. This is our second part in the Hardy Boyz series. This is going to cover their 2006 reunion to 2009 and then their final return in 2017. I'm your host, Mike.
I'm Frank, and let's get into their second part here. The reunion that we never thought, I really didn't think we were going to see it again because when Jeff Hardy left, I really think it was over. I thought, Matt Hardy would be a singles wrestler. Jeff Hardy was having such success in TNA or Impact Wrestling, becoming the world champion, having those great matches. I really thought he would have found his niche and stay there. Fortunate for WWE fans, on August 4th, 2006, Jeff Hardy re-signed with the WWE and was placed on Monday Night Raw. At Survivor Series that year, Matt and Jeff teamed for the first time in 4 years as members of Team DX. And I really love this match. I'll get to it in a minute as far as why. They teamed against Team Rated RKO, which it was Michaels, Triple H, CM Punk, and the Hardy Boys.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that, Triple H and CM Punk together.
Isn't that
versus yeah.
That was CM Punk's was that his first pay-per-view or one of them at least?
One of them, yeah, because he was in ECW. So
he was in ECW and they were hyping him up. This is the franchise or whatever, ECW and whatever they said. The future or the future.
And to be honest, he was one of my favorites.
Yeah, no, he was great.
I can't wait to do his episode because I really everything he did, he put his heart in the ring, even in ECW.
Mm-hmm.
So they faced Edge, Orton, Johnny Nitro, aka John Morrison, or as the idiot's calling himself now, Johnny Drip Drip. Gregory Helms, didn't understand that, and Mike Knox. Now this match is mainly known for, as soon as it started, Shawn Michaels kicks Mike Knox, sees him down, and goes, goes for the pin, and asks his team, who was that?
Yeah, that was great.
And he's like, was he part of it? Do we have the victory here? Are we good? I mean, that was just funny. Unfortunate for Mike Knox. I mean, the only thing good about him was Kelly was his manager. If nobody remembers, the whole ECW, they had turned ECW into pretty much the minor leagues, which I didn't like.
Yeah.
So, in any event, it was a clean sweep for Team DX. All 5 members win. The Hardy Boys, CM Punk, Shawn Michaels, and Triple H. On November 27, 2006, on Monday Night Raw, the two of them received their first tag title match in 5 years. They fought Edge and Orton, but were unfortunately unsuccessful in this match. Edge got himself disqualified. Go figure. And that was for the World Tag Team titles, because now, of course, you have the 2 tag team titles, Raw and SmackDown. Mm-hmm. Which I didn't mind. I like the designs of the two tag titles. You know me now. I don't like the ones that they have now. There's literally no thought in the design of any of these titles.
No.
And I don't know about you, but that Intercontinental title is trash.
Yeah.
In any event, that same day they issued an open challenge to any team for ECW's December to Dismember pay-per-view. It was immediately accepted by a reunited M&M. Joey Mercury and Johnny Nitro. The Hardys won at this event. And at Armageddon, the Hardys got their first chance to be WWE Tag Team Champions. It was a 4-team ladder match. It was Paul London, Brian Kendrick, who were the champions. Not a bad tag team back then either. Versus William Regal and Dave Taylor. And I really can't remember Dave Taylor. I'm sorry. I just don't remember him. Eminem and the Hardys, and they were unfortunately they were unsuccessful to win the tag titles. But this match sparked another feud with Eminem, and these two teams had a great feud leading up to, I believe this was the feud that pretty much ended Mercury's career, the ladder to the face. Remember that when it busted his face open? Like he literally got the brunt of that ladder into his face. It was unfortunate, man. It was gruesome to watch. And yeah, it was sparked a feud with Eminem when Joey Mercury was this match. This was the match actually that he got legitimately injured. So Jeff Hardy now was feuding with Johnny Nitro for the Intercontinental title on Raw, while Matt was feuding with Mercury on SmackDown. So they're reuniting, but they kind of not like they're together, but they're separate because Vince couldn't make up his mind what he wanted to do until finally he did. In 2007, at the Royal Rumble, the Hardys beat Eminem. And at No Way Out, the feud between the two of them came to an end when the Hardys. It was settled when the Hardys and Benoit beat Eminem and MVP. So on going forward now on April 2nd, 2007 on Raw, they won the World Tag Team titles now for the sixth time finally after winning a 10-team battle royal. They beat John Cena and Shawn Michaels, who were the tag team champions.
No, thrown together.
Well, that was for they and for WrestleMania. Not only are they fighting in the title match, which shouldn't have been the title match, but they're the tag team champions on top of it. I never like when they do this with the champion and the challenger, and they become the champions. They've done this so many times.
Yeah.
Most of it was with Austin, but so many times they do this gimmick, and it's just like, just stop already. I don't know about you. I just can't.
I don't care for it.
So they beat Shawn Michaels and John Cena, who are the champions, as well as London and Kendrick, Chavo Guerrero and Gregory Helms, a bunch of thrown together tag teams here. William Regal and Dave Taylor, Nitro and The Miz, which still to this day they're together. Kevin Thorne and Marcus Corvan, ECW, if anybody doesn't know. Lance Cade and Trevor Murdoch, Sandman and Tommy Dreamer, and Val Venus and Viscera. Yeah, they were desperate if they put them two in a match. Jesus.
Yeah, man.
Hey, Mabel, your buddy. That's your boy, man.
King Mabel.
We're getting some views on this because Viscera's in it. In any event, the Hardys defended the title successfully at Backlash and Judgment Day against Cade and Murdoch. They were feuding with them. I didn't care for it because I always thought Cade and Murdoch weren't that good, but in any event. At One Night Stand, they retained the tag titles against Haas and Benjamin. Now, this feud I absolutely love because now Haas and Benjamin were reformed because they realized Charlie Haas was going nowhere on his own.
Yeah.
Another tag team that Vince breaks up. Shelton had a lot of success on his own. We covered this in Uncrowned Champions, if anybody's watched, which doesn't look like anybody has. But please, as you're watching this, go back and watch as we discussed his career, what he did leading up to this. They won a ladder match on that one, but they lost the tag titles the next night on Raw back to Cade and Murdoch, which I didn't understand the constant jumping back and forth. But in any event, Cade and Murdoch were the champions. At Vengeance, they got a rematch, but were unsuccessful to regain the tag titles. They would team on and off again for the next 2 years, but ultimately they focused on their singles careers, which, again, I'm not so sure that Vince knew what to do. Should I put them together? Should I not put them together? So they split at the 2009 Royal Rumble when Matt cost Jeff the WWE title, leading to a match at WrestleMania. Now, if nobody remembers, quick thing, Jeff Hardy won the WWE title finally at Armageddon when he beat Triple H and Edge, I love this match.
Yeah, I remember that one. I remember.
And at this point, I love the Triple H Jeff Hardy feuds that they were kind of doing for the title because they were both fan favorites. At this point, Triple H is not trying to bury anybody other than Kozlov, like he was doing a few years prior. And Jeff Hardy finally, after many chances against Triple H, finally gets the title. He goes to defend it against Edge at the Rumble, and this was with the Pyro incident, where the Pyro misfired and shot all over him. And Edge wound up winning the title. We go to find out that it was Matt Hardy that cost him it. And this led up to a match at WrestleMania. They actually had the match at WrestleMania, and then the following month they had the I Quit match between the two, and that's pretty much where the feud ended. Jeff Hardy left the WWE August 28th, 2009, and then Matt Hardy was released October 1st, 2010 now. So even once you finally split them up and you do something with them, you didn't even have it for long. And then Jeff goes back to a series of winning the World Heavyweight title, on again, off again, losing it to CM Punk. And then finally he just leaves, and then CM Punk did the whole thing. Oh, Jeff took his ball and went home.
That sounds familiar.
And for whatever reason he left, it's not clear. I couldn't find the reason why, what was going on.
I think didn't he want to like go on tour with his rock band or something like that, and he wasn't really focused on wrestling. I could be wrong.
Something vaguely like that does ring a bell, but I mean, I guess it could possibly be that maybe that explains why he would win the world title and then lose it, then he won it, then he lost it.
Because they were really really high on Jeff. They were high on Jeff. They have been trying to push Jeff for years.
That's why
But
they kept giving
but
him the
I think
title.
but I think maybe they just couldn't trust him. So
I don't know. I'm surprised Matt Hardy lasted as long as he did, even up to 2010, because
and I feel like
they never were going to push him.
I feel like he got suspended somewhere in there too.
Jeff,
I think.
Yeah,
Jeff somewhere in there got suspended. I don't remember. This is a long time ago, but
because I remember CM Punk making the comments about Jeff Hardy, and then it's funny because then the next pay-per-view, CM Punk opens the pay-per-view up with a Hell in a Cell match, I believe, against the Undertaker, and Undertaker whooped him and took the belt off him. So that's what you get for talking about Jeff. So in any event, now this began a 8-year hiatus for Jeff and a 7-year hiatus for Matt. They went to Impact. They had, I believe, they had their best run since the Attitude Era when they were in Impact. The whole deletion, Willow, which is still talked to about this day about Jeff Hardy doing the Willow character in WWE because he got Impact gave him the rights to it because they had finally they gave up the rights of the whole delete because you remember when they came back they weren't happy about that.
I know it was a whole, but not Jeff. Vince also didn't get it either. Vince didn't
understand how he didn't get it. I loved it.
Because Vince is in his own because he's in his own world. That's why he's not paying attention
back to reality.
Yeah, but I love the whole Brother Nero. Broken Matt,
his voice, the Broken Matt Hardy,
Senior Benjamin, Vanguard, the Compound. That stuff was great, awesome. Man. It was entertaining. I mean, people criticize it because they're like, "Oh, it's not really wrestling to a degree," because they were the ones doing a lot of the cinematic stuff way back.
Oh yeah, the Impact pretty much started it.
Yeah,
and people criticize Impact, but if you look at over the years, all the ups and downs they had. They should have been out of business a long time ago, and they stuck around.
Well, I think we could thank, first Jeff Jarrett's father, and then Dixie Carter, right?
Dixie Carter.
Yeah.
But even when she left, there was a series of times where they literally had a 13-man roster, and they were out of business for a couple of weeks, but then they came back. For a while, I think they were called GWF for like a minute, and then that changed.
I don't remember.
You got to look at them and be like, how are they still standing? But you also got to look at some of the storylines that they've done, and it's pretty impressive. Main Event Mafia, all the guys that went through Impact.
Yeah.
I mean, Lashley's run was there. The Hardys rekindled their career. They.
But that was Matt. Matt did all of that stuff. The whole Brother Nero, Broken Matt Hardy. That was all Matt's. Those were all Matt's ideas.
Well, Jeff had the idea for Willow.
Well,
and that was a crazy character.
That whole thing.
The only thing I didn't like was when the pay-per-view they had Jeff Hardy versus Willow, and I'm like, okay, I'm done. This is another Undertaker versus Undertaker thing. You're gonna have somebody dressing up as Willow because obviously Jeff's gonna be himself. But in any event, there was really interesting stories and wrestling, and even Jeff and Matt had their match, the Ultimate Deletion match.
The Ultimate Deletion.
I mean, it was some great stuff.
Yes.
And then right before they came back, they were in Ring of Honor.
That's right. I remember that. They showed up.
Their last match was against the Young Bucks. Can't stand them too. And there was rumors that they were coming back because they had lost the tag titles on the independent scene. I never thought in my wildest dreams at WrestleMania 33 that they were going to be wrestling. I figured that we'd see them the night after on Raw.
They kept it a secret. There were rumors, but they actually were able to keep this under wraps. I remember because when I watched the pay-per-view, I didn't know that they were going to show up. I don't think anybody knew really.
No,
they really were able
to
keep it
quiet. Match was a triple threat ladder match. It was Gallows and Anderson versus Enzo and Cass versus Sheamus and Cesaro. Now New Day was hosting it. And when they came out and they said, now that long runway, I remember that because the Undertaker had to come up halfway through it. Because if he would have walked that whole thing, he would have got there at WrestleMania 34. Yeah. Now the New Day came out and said this match has been changed to a fatal 4-way, and now they're in their wrestling gear and they're like, I wonder who it's going to be, and they're walking to the ring, and I'm like, all right, it's going to be New Day. All of a sudden, they part ways, and you hear the Team Extreme music,
Yep.
and you hear Michael Cole, oh my
Yeah.
God. And the pop that you
The
got
pop
from
they
the
got,
arena, oh my
yeah.
God.
It was crazy. That was a crazy pop. That was huge.
And you see Jeff coming down. Now, Matt back then, I don't know about you, but he didn't look like he could run or wrestle.
No. And he was kind of doing like a half broken Matt Hardy, half Matt Hardy, like in between.
Because he come out and do the
delete.
Yeah. And then Jeff is doing the Team Extreme, but Matt's because Matt, he still has the hair.
Yeah.
And it was just amazing. And they win the tag team titles that night, so they automatically are back. And to be honest, you look at the triple threat match and go, this would have, to me, it would have been average. They made it better.
Right, they did, yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
The Kings of the Ladder matches.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at, again, Gallows, Anderson, Enzo, and Cass, Sheamus, and Cesaro. So we made it better. We got the Hardy Boys. So now, going forward, at Payback, they defended the tag team titles against the Bar, Sheamus and Cesaro, but lost them to Sheamus and Cesaro's Extreme Rules in a steel cage match. So they kept them, but it wasn't for long. So they were unsuccessful in regaining them back at this pay-per-view. Great Balls of Fire, another one of Vince's things, one hit wonder. They were actually in a 30-minute Iron Man match in that one, and against Sheamus and Cesaro, but they lost 4-3. But the match was good. The main event of that one stunk. It was Samoa and Brock, but this was actually a pretty good match. I just can't believe you named a pay-per-view Great Balls of Fire. I just don't understand where you're coming from with that one. In any event, in September, Jeff had suffered a torn rotator cuff and would be sidelined 4 to 6 months. This wasn't the Lars Sullivan injury. I don't
remember how he got hurt. I just remember.
I know Lars Sullivan did hurt Jeff Hardy on SmackDown, but I'm not 100% certain that this was it.
That just messed
up. It killed the whole return.
The whole momentum,
Now, what does Matt Hardy do that whole time? He started a feud with Bray Wyatt, which I love.
That was actually a good feud.
It was awesome, yes.
But when they let him actually be basically Broken Matt Hardy.
Yes.
What did they call him? Woken. He became Woken Matt Hardy. Yeah.
He was finally able to do it because they got the rights from Impact. Right. They finally signed it away. Vince was on board with it.
Yeah, it took a long time for Vince to get on board.
Did.
He had to keep explaining to him the character.
Now, the only thing, I mean, I think Matt was in his office 3 times a week for 2 months trying to tell him about this.
Yeah.
Until finally he said, all right.
Yeah.
Now, the only thing that was wrong with this Matt Hardy Bray Wyatt feud is that they finally put them together. I mean, what is this? That's like Ahmed and the Nation.
I didn't understand that. Like, so he
beat
him. He deletes him,
Wyatt,
and he threw him into the what was it called? Was that lake called? I forgot what it was called.
Oh, that was on his compound.
And it was on the Hardy compound.
Yes.
I still remember that promo. That promo was tremendous. Remember the video?
Yes.
Yeah, I love that promo. But he beat him and then he joined him. He dressed in like all white, I think, right?
Yeah, he changed. It's like he changed them. And I'm like, where did you do to my Bray?
That was terrible.
I always liked Bray as the characters he had.
Mm-hmm.
And it only escalated when he created the Fiend. And I can't wait for him to come back. Because when he finally does come back, it will be on SmackDown. That's why Finn Balor's back there. Supposedly, the Demon versus the Fiend is coming. I just don't know when. But I always liked Bray Wyatt's gimmicks. I just didn't understand, like I said, putting him with him. So in any event, now going into 2019, because now Jeff's out half a year. 2019, on February 26, 2019 on SmackDown, they reunited. And on April 19, 2019 on SmackDown, they defeated the Usos to win the SmackDown Tag Team titles. Now, this was around the time that Lars Sullivan came around, because it was around this feud. Because when I saw the Usos and the Hardys, I'm like, yes, dream match, check, we got it. And they became the first tag team to win all 3 tag team titles, the World, the Raw, and the SmackDown. Again, not a fan of
They also had the WCW titles technically. So
yes, they did. Now, and with this not counting all the tag team titles they've won everywhere else. I mean, they rank up there with the Dudleys and the Steiners as far as and the Road Warriors, winning all this stuff. Oh my God! Nobody mentions that, so we just did. So they actually had to. This is where it happened. They had to vacate the titles when Jeff suffered a leg injury at the hands of Lars Sullivan.
Another injury.
Yeah. Well, at this point, he's in his 40s. I mean, it's going to catch
Yeah,
up to him. But Lars Sullivan was a guy that he was hurting a lot of people.
he was like Seth Rollins.
Yeah, only Seth learned from it. Lars refused to. And I actually met him. There was a NXT house show 2 years ago that they had in Dallas, and I had gone to. The main event was Velveteen Dream versus Ricochet, which tore the house down. But Lars was involved in the match. I actually saw him getting on a bus after the show, and I literally had to throw a rock at the bus for him to acknowledge, because I'm like, because there wasn't many of us standing there, and I'm like, and you wouldn't do it. And I'm like, all right, throw a rock, and he finally goes, and he flipped me off. And I'm like, all right, screw
like
you.
Roman Reigns.
Yeah. Wait, what?
Roman Reigns. You see what happened the other night on SmackDown?
No,
somebody yelled. No, this was like off air. They have the footage though.
Oh.
Somebody told him you suck, and he gives him the bird.
Whatever. But yeah, I didn't. I mean, he was the only guy I got to see, because I saw Ricochet in the distance with the bus that they were getting on. Plus, the cops were all trying to push us away. But I'm trying to get his attention, and he flips me off. I'm like, all right, buddy, you got released, so screw you. In any event, now when the pandemic hit and Jeff Hardy is hurt, Matt Hardy opted not to re-sign, because by this point now, I don't know if you remember, just prior to the pandemic, they put him back in. They had him sort of deletion, sort of Team Extreme from '98, because he had the outfit on, the old Hardy Boy outfit, and I don't know where they were going with this, because now him and Bray are broken up.
I don't think they knew. I don't think they knew where they were going with it.
So and I think this is the reason why he left WWE and signed with AEW, because they didn't know what to do with him. And still to this day, Jeff is with them. Now, Matt has always been saying, oh, my brother's going to come wrestle me here in AEW. Newsflash, Matt, Jeff did re-sign a contract for another few years, so I don't see when this is going to happen. Not to mention the time that he was out and hurt gets backlogged to his contract, so there's another 6 to 8 months more. So as far as I know, Jeff will be around at least 3 more years. Now, what they do with him, I know he's changing his music back to No More Words, which he used as a singles WWE champion. He was waiting for the crowd to come back. The crowd's back, so let's see what happens there. And hopefully now he'll get a singles push like he deserves, because really they haven't done anything with him since he's been back from his injury. I mean, just he feuding with Jinder Mahal and losing to one of his cronies in a dark match on Monday Night Raw. I mean, it's just it's not right. I mean, this guy deserves a push, despite. Now, granted, he had a few demons once since he's been back, but Vince has warned him, this is your last shot. But I don't know about that, because Jimmy Uso's getting like 6 of them.
Yeah. So.
But in any event, this sums up the Hardy Boyz 06-09 and the 17-19 return. Not exactly, in the words of Bobby Roode, glorious.
Yeah. But
we did get a couple of tag team matches that we wanted to see. Haas and Benjamin, especially the Usos. I always thought about that since the Usos had come up. And we got to see, unfortunately, we didn't get to see the feud go longer thanks to an injury. And then when they came back and they thought about rekindling again, Lars, does his thing. So, I mean, it was what it was. You could rate the return of the Hardys for whatever you want to see it, but I think their return at WrestleMania 33 was awesome.
Yeah. We'll always have that. It was good to see him back, So
at least one more time.
Yeah.
I do believe that Jeff, this will be his last 3 years. I don't think he'll re-sign after that, because I do believe he probably does want one last tag match with his brother, and it'll probably be in AEW. Who knows?
Yeah, I would imagine.
But in any event, we've got Jeff, not Matt. I'll take it.
All right. Well, that's the Hardy Boyz. We're going to be covering next. What are we up? It's Stone Cold Steve Austin, right?
Yes, a 3-parter on Steve Austin. So everybody get ready. This is going to be a bunch of Stone Cold stunners and what's.
Yep. All right, man. So let us know what you think about the Hardys. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and we'll see you guys soon.
Take care, guys.